Hello there, everyone. Tania Gustafson here, your nutritionist and fitness coach with Fit Nutrition. Welcome back to another episode of Fit Nutrition Podcast. So great to have you joining in with me. So I just want you to drop down in the chat where you are watching from as you're watching this. And also, as I dive into today's topic, so today's topic, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story because I've had a lot of people ask me about it and I've told it over the years over and over again. So I just wanted to put it out here because I want to give you hope. Okay, so I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that, but I just want to know where you're watching from. And as you watch, let me know if any of these things that I am talking about that I struggled with, that I have found solutions for, that I am now, overcoming. If any of those resonate with you, and if you have solutions and things that you have done, I would absolutely love to hear it because we are a place of resource here and helping everybody grow and find solutions for whatever they need in their lives, right? Okay, because we want to live longer, stronger, better, healthier lives, loving our body, living with food freedom, and just enjoying life and doing it healthfully and pain-free and all the things, right? Those are all the things we want to do as opposed to all the diet things that we used to do many years ago, and we are not doing those again. That's why we're all here. Okay. So currently I am 55 years old at the time of this podcast, in case you're watching in the future, 55 years old. And I can honestly say that I am healthier and stronger today than I was at 35 or even 25. And I know that might be a little bit hard for you to wrap your head around, but it's actually true. And I remember a pivotal moment way back when. I remember the exact place where I was at a health conference. I was listening to a speaker, and actually they brought on a speaker who was an economist, actually, not somebody who was, a doctor or a scientist or whatever. The one, there were several of those, obviously, but this gentleman come on and he was talking about the food industry and the big food and the big pharma and all the numbers and all that kind of stuff. And where they're, how they try and manipulate our food and everything. And I've done a podcast on that. You heard that. But he was also talking about his own health and how now, and at the time of when I was watching, he was also healthier into his 60s than he was in his 40s. And his sport of choice is bike racing. So he was out there doing the road bike, races and everything. And he was competing with the 20-some-year-olds, and he was in his 60s, and he was feeling that he could do well, that he could keep up. And he was just so encouraged by that. And some of those younger ones are saying, hey, oh my goodness, I want to be like you when you grow up. And he's turned to the audience and he said, there's a small demographic of people getting healthier as they age, and it's not an exclusive club. So I want to let that sink in with you today. I'm going to repeat that. There's unfortunately, a small demographic of people getting healthier as they age, and it's not an exclusive club. You are free to join whenever you want. And I know that a lot of people are saying, well, how do I do that? Yeah, I want that. I want better health. I want to get rid of joint pain. I want to be riding that bike or whatever your thing is in my 60s and keeping up with the 20-some-year-olds. And I want to have that energy, and I want to just feel great. I don't want to feel like, oh my gosh, I have nothing left at the end of the day. And I'm just looking forward to retirement because I'm tired. Here in my life and in our group here and in my practice and with my clients and with all of you, I want you to think of when you get to that point where you want to, stop your traditional job. And I don't even call it retirement, right? Just stopping your traditional job, because now you have, you've organized your life so that you can do all those things that you want to do, but you have to be physically capable to do them, right? So that's what my whole message is, because I am so blessed that I found the right formula, I should say, I guess, many years ago. I've always been in the health and fitness industry. Anybody who knows me, I was the gym rat. I was the person, I wouldn't say I was super proficient at sports. Group sports weren't my thing. I loved gymnastics. I loved dance. I loved fitness. I loved being in the gym. And, I was that one in grade 12. I decided that, I couldn't do dance as a career. It wasn't probably going to work for me, but I really I love fitness. And so I got into fitness instructing, personal training, all of that. I was, doing my training and my certifications and all of that. And during my graduation year. And so that was 1986. You can do the math. Yes, I am 55. So I was doing all that and I super enjoyed it and I was loving it and attending all those conferences and helping people with their fitness and getting moving and staying active and all of that. But I never heard the food component part of it. Like I always, I grew up on a farm and so we grew our own vegetables and in my mind, everyone knows that too much sugar isn't good for you and yada, yada, and we raised our own beef and my dad hunted. So I grew up with a fairly healthy background that way. Not to say that we were perfect because we didn't. We ate Kraft dinner and, we had pop. Sometimes my mom would buy that when we would go camping and all the things. But I just think that I was really lucky to have, kind of a healthy base there because there were so many things that happened in my family with my parents, with their health and my grandparents and all of that. Had that little piece not been there, I think that they would, have not lived as long as they did, as long as they still are. So I'm very thankful for that. But when I was going to all of these conferences and things, I didn't even think that, why isn't there more about nutrition? Why isn't there more about this? It was like small bits, but there was nothing really concrete. It was all the whole dieting industry, the late 80s, the 90s into the 2000s, where it was all about, counting your calories and working out harder and don't eat any fat because fat is bad for you. And we all know that's not true, right? I debunked that in the last podcast there, but, so that's what we were doing. That's what we were teaching our clients because that's what we were taught. And then I just was always thinking that there was something missing. I would be, tracking my calories and fat grams on these little sticky notes all over my counter. And I was thinking, well, why do I have to do this like forever? Do I have to do it forever? And what I've learned is you need to have something that you can do forever. That it makes sense to you. You can do it for life or you're setting yourself up to fail. You have to be able to do it in anywhere, anytime, any situation, or it's not going to work for you long-term. People say, oh, that worked. I lost 10 pounds. I lost 20 pounds. I, fill in the blank, whatever it is. I lifted so much weight that worked for me. But, so I'm going to go back and do that again. And I'm like, well, didn't you keep the results from there? Like, so now you're going to refine those results, right? You're going to kind of dive back in a little bit and see if you can, no, I'm going to go lose the 10 pounds or the 20 pounds again. So then it didn't really work for you, right? If it's just something that works in that moment, it doesn't really work. So that's where, things kept going around in my mind. And then I was finally at a conference, a health and wellness conference. And I met my good buddy, Mark McDonald. If you have been following me for years, you know that he and I are just like, super good buddies. And he brought home the message of blood sugar stabilization. And that was pivotal for me. And so, and learning about filling in my gaps. So, we talk about our 6 plates, right? We talk about food as our foundation. So there's nutrition, there's exercise and movement, right? There's water, there's stress, there's sleep, and there's supplements to fill in your nutritional gaps. So I was learning about all of these things together as I was, gathering more information so I could bring to my people because they would always ask me these questions. And so I was always looking for answers for them. And then I was also working in a school and I love teaching. I love educating. I taught piano lessons. I taught gymnastics. I taught special needs for, almost 2 decades and behavior disorders. And so I'm very motivated to help people learn. And that's one of my giftings, frankly, is to help people learn. And so when I can bring them something that's going to be life-changing in a positive way, it just, it makes me get super, super excited. So I knew that there was something that I wasn't doing that was, not quite lining up because I was, still had to use these sticky notes. And then when I heard about blood sugar stabilization, I was like, oh my gosh, that is the missing piece. And sure enough, I dove in. I wasn't having enough protein. I wasn't, having enough. My meals were irregular. They weren't, small meals throughout the day. There's, I was not eating before a workout. I was waiting till I came home. There was a few things. I was eating healthy food though, very little processed food. I don't even have coffee. So there's no sugar and cream in that, whatever, I was eating pretty healthy, but I wasn't balanced, and healthy and balanced are 2 entirely different things. And so when I learned that and started putting the 2 together, it was like, oh my gosh, I learned a whole bunch of different, I was feeling so great. And then I've always been trying to find supplements to help with immune function. So because way back when, my parents told me that when I was born, when I was about 2 months old, I had some sort of bronchial something. And my dad literally was super scared that he thought I might die. So they put me in one of those little, pram buggies, and they covered it with a towel, and they put a kettle boiling so that they could steam through like a tent, right? To help me breathe, because they were so worried. And so obviously I pulled through. But I remember as a kid having bronchitis like several times. I was just coughing and coughing. And I remember coughing so much and having so many colds. And this went on into adulthood, into my young adulthood. And I would get a cold, and I would just be so congested and stuff that I would literally go to school holding a tissue under my eye and sniffing, because I couldn't see out of one side of my face because it was so congested. And then later it would probably move to the other side of, and I'd take some more decongestant, or I'd have some more nasal spray. And that's how I would get through. And that happened, 2-3 times a year, with the bronchitis, with the cold, with the flu, whatever you want to call it. When I have 3 children, 3 adult children, and I'm going to be a grandma coming up in, shortly, in about 3 to 4 weeks. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So, but when my youngest was born, when she was only 6 weeks old, I had pneumonia. It was in the middle of summer, and I had pneumonia, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so weird. So I was always trying, what else do I need to put in my body? Because like I said, right, we were using a garden, we were growing, I was eating healthy food, I wasn't eating a lot of processed, I was making everything homemade myself, I was going to the gym. What else did I need to do? So I started, learning about filling in my nutritional gaps. And so I started with things like echinacea, cold FX. Anyone ever remember cold FX way back then? And putting different things in. And I learned about antioxidants and all of those, and the substituting the deeply rich colored fruits and vegetables, because that's where your high nutrient density is. And so I started putting more of those in. And then I started putting supplements with those in. And then I continued to balance my PFCs. And slowly over time, my inflammation was coming down. And so in that time, before that, when I was doing my fitness instructing and teaching, when I was just getting started, prior to that, like I said, I did dance and gymnastics and cheerleading. I did all the things. But back in the 80s, they didn't know that you need to have, really good quality shoes when you're doing that, and don't do it in the concrete buildings with just a little indoor-outdoor carpet. There was no, gym mats or anything like that. And so I ended up with really bad shin splints and stress fractures, where the muscle is actually, detaching itself from your tibia bone, the front of your shin, and it pulls away from the back of the muscle, or from the bone, and it causes little bone fragments to come off and crack. So it's all fracturing. So when I was limping, and my mom was saying, "You're limping, we need to take you to I don't know what this is." So we go and we get checked out, and the doctor checks everything, and he tells me that, if I keep going the way I'm going, I was about 16 years old at the time. If you keep doing what you're doing, Tania, at the same rate, and we don't fix this, you're going to break both your legs from the knees down. And that was a huge wake-up call. I had no idea. I rode horses. We had all the things. And I was like, oh my gosh. So clearly, I wasn't putting the right footwear on, and we didn't have the right flooring, and I didn't know about all that. So I learned all about that very quickly, had to re-strengthen my shins, had to go to all of the sports medicine clinics and all of that to get that sorted out. But then after that, because of that, I could run my finger down my shin, and I could feel all the little bumps after about a year or so as it healed up. That was all the scar tissue, and the scar tissue was always there. It kind of felt like an alligator, like you couldn't see it, but you could feel it if you pushed. And that scar tissue in there was causing me to have pain in my legs when the weather changed. If anyone's, I used to call myself a weather vane. Anyone out there who's got arthritis, you know what I'm talking about, right? And that's what it was. It turned out to be like, it had this arthritis thing going on. And anytime it was going to rain or snow, I would ache from the waist down, because there was just, it was both legs, but it would just kind of transfer all over to all the joints, and it would just be so achy. So I would try to keep moving so I wouldn't notice it. As soon as I sat down in the evening, whoa, it would, I'd either have to go to sleep or, take some painkillers, which I didn't want to take. I just really hated taking those. Sometimes use heat, sometimes ice. That might help, but mostly time I would just, go to bed early, and then in the morning, if the weather had changed, I was better, right? But it didn't solve my problem. It was just, that was the problem solving for that day. But when I learned how to fill in my nutritional gaps and continue to balance my blood sugar, because when you balance your blood sugar, and I'm just going to pull this up. I forgot to show you at the very beginning. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen here. and just give you a little visual, because we were talking about inflammation, right? Inflammation is the root cause of all disease. And, arthritis is inflammatory. Anything with an itis, that's inflammatory. So I'm going to share my screen here, and you can see, okay, take a look at the picture on the left here. You can see the inflammation in my face, right? It's all red. I mean, it's an older picture, but it's all red. It's a little bit puffy. And then over here, a more recent picture, there's the jawline, right? So I didn't really change very much weight here because I've never really had a weight problem, but I didn't have to count my calories anymore when I learned how to stabilize my blood sugar, and I was able to maintain my weight. So here's my lovely family. I'm so comfortable to wear a bikini on the beach. Put your bikini on your body. It doesn't matter, but you need to feel comfortable in your body. And then when I was talking about being healthier and stronger as I aged, so here's me and my friend Sherry. My goal by the time I turned 50 was to be able to do 50 pull-ups in one workout session. And I did 52, not all at once. I did 10 and then 10 and then 10, right in between. I did sets of them, but in that one day, that one workout gym session, I was able to do that. So, that to me was freaking amazing, because I was never able to do that before. I was not strong enough. I couldn't do pull-ups before. But I wasn't building enough muscle because I wasn't having enough protein. I wasn't balancing my blood sugar. And I'm going to bring up our blood sugar chart here, because I know you guys are all pros at this, but for some new people, this whole balancing this blood sugar was a real big revelation, because when you stabilize your blood sugar, sure, we know what it says in the middle there, right? We want to put our body here. But what it says, body releases stored fat, protects lean muscle, eliminates cravings, increases energy. Yes, it does. But it also brings down inflammation, because your body's not fighting with each other. Your blood sugar is stable. And when you spike or when you crash, it's doing things that your body wasn't meant to do naturally. And so it's fighting, it's working hard, it's putting stress and strain on your body, and therefore it's creating inflammation. It's helping you age faster. Inflammation makes you age faster. We don't want to do that. If you're aging faster, then you are also, you're more prone to disease and pain, and you can't mitigate those as well. You can't get rid of them as easily because you don't have enough gas in the tank. Let's put it that way. I like to use a car analogy. I have a vintage car. My husband's a mechanic. But you know that if you are driving across your country or your province or your state, you're going to use a lot more gas than if you're just driving down to the grocery store, right? So as we get older and we're driving farther, right? We're living longer, driving our car longer distances. Basically, we're still in the car. You only get one. You still need to put more fuel in the tank. And if we're not balancing, so I wasn't putting enough protein in, I wasn't balancing, therefore my body was using its own muscle as protein. So I wasn't as strong, right? So there we go. So now I put the balance in, I started putting all those things, and lo and behold, I get stronger, I get leaner, I feel better, I don't have bloat. And the inflammation starts to come down. And when the inflammation comes down, and then I'm filling my nutritional gaps with some really healthy supplements. If you guys are interested, I can obviously share some with you. Antioxidants, collagen, vitamin D for immune system. I love our nitro triangle of health system. I love our collagen, and I love my protein shake every day before the gym. That little guy alone made it so that I lost body fat percentage just by adding a protein shake before I went to the gym, because of course I wasn't eating before. So all of these things put together, and within about 6 weeks of filling my gap with the antioxidants and the vitamins and things like that, as far as the pain in my legs, it was gone in 6 weeks. And of course, I didn't stop using them, right? Because now I'm older and I need to continue to fill in those gaps, right? But the bumps are gone on my legs. And so the scar tissue has actually healed itself. And on those rare occasions where I've, ran out or forgot to order or couldn't find it or whatever, or went on holidays and forgot it, oh my goodness, heaven forbid, the pain doesn't come back, because I've helped to heal my body from the inside, and I'm keeping the inflammation down. So I want to keep the inflammation down, right? I don't want to do that anymore. And as far as being sick, when I, told you that I used to be sick, several times a year, that hasn't happened for years and years. I'll maybe once in a while feel like, oh, I don't know, does that feel like maybe a little something coming on? And then I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to take 2 of those instead, and make sure that I eat super clean for the next couple of days. Maybe I've been eating, maybe I had a few snacks that had sugar. Maybe I didn't have enough water. Maybe my sleep wasn't great. I check my spinning plates, right? Remember our spinning plates, our 6 spinning plates that I talked about? So our nutrition, our sleep, our stress, our water, our movement and exercise, and filling in those gaps, right? Those are your 6 plates. So I would check, I give those a little check, see which one maybe is a little wobbly, and then tighten that one up, and nothing comes on me anymore. And so I'm not making any claims or promises for any of you. And it is a process over time. It doesn't just happen overnight. I mean, I was sick for many, many, many years. Many. That's why I say I'm now stronger and healthier in my 50s than I was in my 20s and into my 30s, because it took me till I was almost just around the 40 mark before I finally was learning all of this. And when I said, you need to find something that you can do anywhere, anytime, any situation, remember that? Well, when I turned 50, my husband and I, we went on a European trip to celebrate my 50th. We did the UK, we did Europe. We stayed in Airbnbs, we stayed in hotels, we stayed with friends. Of course, they want to take you out for dinner. We tried all the things. I ate things there that I would probably never eat here, just to try them, because I was on my holiday for my birthday. And because I know how to stabilize my blood sugar now, because I know what my body needs, because I know how to fill in my gaps wherever I am, and it's not rocket science, it's just science, and I how to do it. My husband and I, neither one of us came back with any extra weight. In fact, I had lost a pound, and I didn't even hit the gym except but once, because we were in places where there was no gyms. But we did a lot of walking, so it kind of helped out a little bit, but you can't rely on the exercise, right? So my whole point is, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are with your health, you can absolutely get healthier and stronger as you age. You can join this club. You can. So it's not an exclusive club. Please remember that wherever you are with your health, you can start today making those small changes. That 1% coaching that I do with my clients, you can do 1% better today than you did yesterday, and we can keep building on that, and you will get to your goals. You can make significant changes regardless of your age. And I show people my picture of my dad, doing pull-ups and climbing up on this truck roof and all those kinds of things. And he's going to be 82 coming up. And people say, well, you have great genes then. It's, it's all the things. Your DNA only determines about 20% of the outcome of your health. And, if you want to know what's in my genetic history, there is cancer, a couple different kinds. There is high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and Alzheimer's. So, and that is, with my parents and with my immediate grandparents. So that's not very far away from me. So you can break the cycle of disease and everything in your families. My dad decided to start doing that. And I remember seeing him do things with food as I was growing up. And that prompted me to keep looking and keep looking and keep looking. And together we still keep looking. Every time he comes, we have a food conversation. It's great. He was just here visiting with me, and he's coming back soon. But we always check in and see what's new with each other and what we're doing now. And, oh, I found this that, is helping me. And so that we can help and share with other people. Because, I found this one thing in life, that you can either enjoy your health or you can suffer with it. And nobody needs to suffer, and you all deserve really, really good health and to live with food freedom. So, if that's you, if you're new and you haven't, joined our Fit Lifer family, please do go and go to fuelignitethrive.com, watch the free video there, and then book a chat with me, because I'd love to talk to you. So anyway, thank you guys for joining in today, Fit Nutrition Podcast, for listening to my story. Please do share your stories below. I would love to hear how you're doing, how you're improving, or if you have something that needs improving, and send me a message. I'm happy to work that through with you. So, all right, have a great day, everybody, and see you again next week here on Fit Nutrition Podcast. Have an awesome day.